This is the scene from last night's Backwater Bridge. And what you just heard there was a gentleman yelling, "Whoa, look out!" with a rock or some object being thrown at our law enforcement from the quote-unquote peaceful protesters. Somebody out there, please tell me how throwing rocks at another human being is peaceful. If you can answer that, text us, please let me know. Also, there were protests in downtown Bismarck today as well. They were demonstrating the pipeline as well as some of the police tactics that were used last night. More on that in a moment from North Dakota Highway Patrol Lieutenant Tom Iverson. But first, breaking news just came out a few hours ago. Sunoco Logistics and Energy Transfer Partners are now merging in a $20 billion merger. Please bring up this graphic. Energy Transfer Partner owns the Dakota Access Pipeline. Kelsey Warren, he will remain as the CEO once these companies are merged. I had a chance to visit with Mr. Warren last Thursday. We were going to play part one of my interview for you in the next segment. Please be sure to stay with us for that interview. There is just a ton of incredible information as to who and why it was moved from north of Bismarck to just north of Standing Rock, and much, much more. All right, let's get to it. Good evening and welcome to Point of View. I'm Chris Berg. As always, thank you so much for joining us here on this Monday night before Thanksgiving. Now, back on October 27th, so roughly a month ago, the No DAPL protesters were burning cars on the Backwater Bridge, and since then, the North Dakota Department of Transportation says, hey, look, we don't want anybody out there on this bridge until we've had a chance to actually inspect it so that it's a pretty good idea. We can ensure that it's safe to use. Well, the No DAPL protesters are saying the closure of the bridge is preventing emergency vehicles from getting to them. Plus, they say it's stopping them from getting to the piece of the pipeline that they really want to protest, which is the piece that goes below Missouri River. So obviously, they're not able to protest there. This is where and why this standoff took place last night. Here's an aerial view. You can see where the light is sort of. That's where the police are. All the other stuff are the DAPL protesters. Then I want to share with you another shot here as well that's a little bit more close up where you can see the standoff. Obviously, the men and women there in blue are law enforcement. You can see the barbed wire. All those other bodies are protesters. One of the big storylines coming out of last night, and I'm sure you've seen the video throughout the day or somewhere on Facebook, was the fact that law enforcement was using a fire hose. Let me be clear, it was a fire hose, not a water cannon, as many other media outlets have been reporting, to spray water at the water protectors in below freezing temperatures in order to keep them at bay. It was reported by NBC News earlier today that 150 protesters were injured last night, as well as one law enforcement officer. We're going to give you the latest as to what's taken place right now from our Bismarck in studio. Joining us is North Dakota Highway Patrol Lieutenant Tom Iverson. Mr. Iverson, first off, thank you so much, sir, for giving us some of your time. I was told that you didn't get to bed last night until 5 a.m. I'm sure you're exhausted, so thank you very, very much for being here.
Hey, Chris, absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Let's start with the fire hose situation. Obviously, that's been kind of the big talker of the day. You go down to this situation. Why use the fire hose, and who made the decision to use it?
You know, I do not know precisely who made the decision to use it. There's commanders down on scene that have to assess the situation day in and day out. And when tactics are ramped up on behalf of the rioters each and every day, we constantly have to analyze what resources are available to us. And the fire truck seemed to be an efficient way for crowd dispersal. Now, just keep in mind that that is a line, that's a law enforcement line on that bridge where we have been for the past, well, since October 27th. We have not advanced past that. Nobody forced people out of the camps to come to that bridge to break the law. We would never force somebody into a position where they are breaking the law. So they put themselves into that position. Law enforcement needed to react accordingly, and the water from the fire trucks was used as a crowd dispersal and to avoid escalation into other tactics.
We're going to get to the other tactics in a moment, but when you look at, if we can bring these pictures back up from the Backwater Bridge, please. When you look at sort of the standoff, sir, even if they were to move the cars out of the way, would they still be able to head north? Because it looks like you guys have got barbed wire, cement blocks. How well is that blocked off?
That area right there is very well blocked off. There's 2 trucks that were parked there. One of them is now only parked there because the rioters took it upon themselves to illegally remove that truck. And there are barricades, jersey barriers that are there, and razor wire. Now, it is their intent, and we cannot look past this. It's their intent to move north to commit additional crimes. It's within our best interest to stop that. They've made it very well known that their intent is to move north to that pipeline corridor, to trespass on that property, disrupt construction of that. Now, does that play into the optic of law enforcement protecting the pipeline? Well, it gives that appearance, but it could be anything up there. Somebody is constantly trespassing on land and constantly wanting to disrupt any construction of any sort. We're law enforcement. That's what we do. We stop that, and we uphold the law.
Lieutenant, let me ask you this. You said it's very well blocked off, and again, some of these may seem like ignorant questions to you, but I do want to speak to the context of nobody is ever really going to be in your shoes. I don't think anybody but yourself can really appreciate what y'all have been going through these past, what is it now, 80, 90 days. So when you say it's very well blocked off, why not then just let them move those cars? They're not going to move any farther north, and then why deploy the tear gas and the water and things of that nature?
Very good question. We're actually up over 100 days now, which has been a very long time. Removing those trucks is step 1 to gain access to the north. Obviously, you need to remove those trucks out of there. Then you start removing those jersey barriers, razor wire, hook onto it with a chain, yank it out of there. Plain and simple. They were trying to breach the line. Law enforcement is holding the line. We've been there. It's what we do, and it's what the citizens expect of us. And they sent around flanks around to the east and around to the west side in order to flank law enforcement to gain access to the north and breach behind our lines. That's a dangerous situation to be in when they're that aggressive in getting north. So it's very important to hold that line for the protection of everybody.
A couple more, and I want to get to your last comment there, sir, in just a moment. But one last thing, there's been reports via social media, allegations, I should say, not reports, that there was a flashbang or concussion grenade used, and it looked like a woman had got her forearm ripped open. Any veracity to these flashbang or concussion grenades being used?
You know, I've seen those Facebook posts as well. But we have to remember they are Facebook posts, and there's a lot of false stories that are out there. Now, I'm not going to just automatically say that this is completely untrue and false. It is something that we'll look into. I have not seen any videos, any photos, other than what's out there on Facebook. So the injuries that were sustained or what appears were sustained, look rather drastic. And I surely hope that's not the case, but I would remind people of being careful of what you buy into on Facebook.
Thank you, sir. We did call down to the Cannonball emergency area, and unfortunately they said, hey, we cannot report any data, so we'll continue to try to pursue that. One last thing I want to get to, because you mentioned this a moment ago. Hey, Chris, all the tactics that we're using are for the safety of everyone. Sheriff Kirkmeyer, and I'm just going to share with you what he said earlier today at the press conference, and again, out of ignorance, never being in your shoes, give you a chance to speak to this, sir. He said, number one thing has still been the safety for everybody, and some of the actions that were taken last night were just for that purpose alone. For us that will never be in your shoes, can never understand what you've gone through the last 90, 100-plus days, help people, especially the naysayers out there, understand how using tear gas, water, sponge bullets or whatnot keeps everybody safe, especially in light of NBC News reporting there were 150 people injured last night.
You know, that is a very good question. Those rounds, less than lethal rounds, are used to limit the escalation of tactics on behalf of the protesters. It is a way to utilize other mechanisms to avoid, you know, hand-to-hand use of force scenarios. It is apparent that they want to breach the line. They want to get up to us. The last thing we want to do is to go hand-to-hand with someone, because that could and more than likely will result in injuries to either the officer or that rioter who is persistent on getting through the line. Utilizing water from a fire hose, that was a pretty effective means of crowd dispersal and to get them to back off that front line and to refrain from breaching the line. Those are all items that are used to protect our officers, whatever's north of us, to include other citizens and farmers and ranchers that are north of us, and also for those protesters that are there to kind of disperse those rioters. Now, there were probably people there in the backgrounds that were nonviolent, and we probably did not have any issues with them. But those right up front, those are violent agitators that need to remove themselves from that bridge, plain and simple.
Lieutenant Iverson, thank you so much again for being here. I know it's been a long, long night. God bless you, and we will talk to you again soon. Okay, sir?
Hey, Chris, I appreciate this opportunity. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Stay with us when we come back. Kelsey Warren, the CEO of Energy Transfer Partners, exclusive TV interview for our area, talks about why the pipeline was moved from north of Bismarck to just north of Standing Rock and much, much more. Stick around. We'll be right back.